Hello everybody, Dante Starshine here. Thanks for tuning into this video today. I've decided to start a new series covering every sign of the zodiac, its symbolism, the energy it brings, the energy that we go through as a collective as the sun moves through that sign, and the energy that people with that sign bring. And of course, we all have every sign somewhere in our chart. We either have a planet there or it is the ruler of one of the houses of our chart. So we can also look at how that sign manifests in our lives. And we're starting with Scorpio just because that's when I got the idea to start this, but also because as a Scorpio, it is the sign that I'm most familiar with. So hence it is the energy that might be easiest for me to speak to. I'm actually out here in the Mojave National Reserve. I'm staying with a friend, so I thought it'd be cool to have the mountains in the background. While it is a bit hot in the sun, it's been some cold days, so I thought it would be nice to share this view for the video and to get some sun in. So Scorpio is perhaps one of the most taboo signs of the zodiac, and there can be a lot of star phobia around Scorpios. The other one that is most sort of stereotyped in a negative way is Gemini. I'm a Scorpio with a Gemini ascendant. What can I say? But there's a reason that Scorpio does have that quality to it, or people perceive Scorpio in that way, and it's simply because Scorpio connects with all of those things that we have taboos around in our world, and perhaps people who really embody that Scorpio energy have a bit of a harder time. So Scorpio connects with sexuality, with death and rebirth, with transformation, with deep intimacy, with hunting and searching for truth, with investigation. Scorpio, more than anything else, craves truth and intimacy, and there's nothing more that annoys a Scorpio than lies or deception. So Scorpio is always searching for truth and connection. And Scorpio is ruled in the ancient system by Mars. In the modern system, Scorpio also connects with Pluto, though Mars, of course, is one of the more potent energies of Scorpio. Aries represents this masculine quality of Scorpio, of Mars, whereas Scorpio is the feminine qualities of Mars. So Mars is not just, that aggression and drive, it is this occult power, and that Scorpio connects with a lot more than Aries. Aries is the part of Mars that wants to drive forward in a direction, but Scorpio is the energy of Mars that turns that passion inward and can create a lot of intense, powerful, creative energy. Scorpio itself is interested in the taboo and the occult. Again, Mars in the ancient system had an occult power to it as well, as it connected with magic and even dark magic. So Scorpio also has that connection of all of the signs. Scorpio is the most associated with the dark. But in our world today, there's sort of this division where we attempt to separate the light from the dark when really they're one. So integrating the energy of Scorpio is really key in a world where there's so much spiritual bypassing and kind of avoiding the point. And this is why I think Scorpios often get kind of hard rap. So in tropical astrology, we connect the planets, or the signs rather, with times of the year. That 1 degree of Aries is linked up with that spring equinox. And symbolically, the energy of all of the signs does connect very well with the seasonal changes that we go throughout the year. So in tropical astrology, Scorpio begins October 24th and it ends November 22nd. And this is mid-fall. Scorpio is also a fixed energy. So fixed energy works in this time of the year as it's like we're kind of fixed in this mode of things dying and transforming. The leaves are falling. Scorpio and Capricorn both connect with death. Scorpio connects more with death and rebirth. Hence, the leaves are falling, but we know that they will be reborn again in the spring. So in this time of year, it is time where we're really preparing to go deeper into hibernation. And it's time when it really sets in, the cold settles in, or we feel the intensity of the new frequencies of shift that come through this seasonal time. Also, this is the time of Samhain, which is November 1st or October 31st now. There's celebrations of this nature around all times around all parts of the world, really. Samhain and Beltane used to be connected with the 7th of November, Samhain, or the 7th of May, Beltane, because that is actually the midpoint between the equinox and the solstice. And the ancients found that this is much more of a seasonal marker than these other positions. So this is really when we call in that fall season, that autumnal energy that is really about transformation. So we've already gone through the harvest, which happens earlier, and now we are kind of taking that energy inward. Scorpio itself is this more inward energy. It is very focused on its goals or its desires. Scorpio can have very strong, intense desires. So Scorpio is fixed water. All signs have a mode and an element. Now, fixed are energies that are more stable. The positive aspect of fixed is that they are very determined and focused. The fixed energies, again, are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. These signs tend to be a lot more focused and stubborn. And in relation, these signs can work together if they can adapt to their differences according to the elements. So this water then is the energy of emotion, of also spiritual connection and healing. Water signs tend to be more sensitive and very creative, artistic, they flow. However, fixed water is water that stays still. And this connects Scorpio with ponds and swamps and also ice. It is the water that is stuck in place. And Scorpio will tend to spend a lot of time kind of meditating and reflecting and brewing in those emotions. This can be a positive aspect of Scorpio that leads to Scorpios being some of the most powerful healers, and it can be a negative thing of Scorpios where they can be very brooding or stuck in their emotions. So you can tell that quality in somebody. If there's a Scorpio who is perhaps seeming more stuck and negative, that is in a sense just a process leading to really getting into that place of inner contemplation. But in order for Scorpio to really transform that, they have to develop deeper connections with others, which is kind of all of what Scorpio is about. So Scorpio rules the genitals, the buttocks, the anus. It connects with the root chakra and also the solar plexus chakra, I would say. It's different depending on who you ask. I connect Scorpio more with the solar plexus than the root because there is this very willful drive to Scorpio that takes that energy and expresses it and moves it in the form. So Scorpio connects these energies of sexuality and transformation. And in French, they say, I'm not French, an orgasm is the little death, la petite muerte, something like that. But so it's like this sexual energy is this way that we are transforming ourselves. Sexual energy is a way that we kind of learn how to relate to ourselves and deepen an intimacy, which Scorpio is very interested in. And in order for those bonds to really be strong, it requires that deep degree of truth that is a very Scorpio quality. And again, Scorpios can be people who are occultists, detectives, investigators, healers, business people. Scorpio is also very interested in money, wealth, and Scorpio is, in a sense, more interested in those resources that come from other people. So Scorpio is the 8th house of the zodiac, and the 8th house connects with all of these same themes, but it also is about the resources that come from other people. It can be your spouse, but it can also be the earnings you make from a business. But as it's also other people's money, it's also debts. So this kind of drive and obsession can be something that leads to some corruption in Scorpios. The new ruler of Scorpio in Western astrology is Pluto. Pluto being the lord of the underworld being that realm of those who've passed on, and Pluto being this figure who's very concerned with power and taking that power. Scorpio, again with that connection to the solar plexus, is about power and reclaiming our power. Reclaiming our power through undoing the shame around all of these taboo areas that Scorpio connects with. So through that connection with Pluto, Pluto is the planet of obsessions. It's the planet that indicates where we have this deep unconscious craving and desire to pull in different energies. So, sorry, there might be a little background sound for a little while. I'll just try to talk over it. Um, so, Scorpio as well, in that connection to Pluto, Pluto is bringing in the frequency of true death and rebirth. And where Pluto shows up in the chart is perhaps where you have a deep craving for something. Where Pluto aspects shows where that craving touches, how it connects. And it's really about reclaiming our personal power. Pluto is there to help us take our power back and integrate it. Though, again, power is one of these things that we have some shame with. We have this word plutocratic, meaning those who are obsessed with power. We live in plutocracy, people taking power over others. And seeing that example makes people kind of fear claiming power because they fear that if they take their power back, they're just going to become another plutocrat. So that's another realm where Scorpio connects with those things that we have to reclaim. And that's part of the death and rebirth that Scorpio energy is. When we form these deep identifications with aspects of ourselves, or these senses of we're a person that's this way and that makes us a good person, but we understand that these inner cravings for sexuality, for power, for wealth, for intimacy, for truth go against the grain of society, we go through this death and rebirth of releasing our old identity, releasing our old view of ourselves to embrace what is new and more powerful. So it's that death and rebirth that makes Scorpio, Scorpio. So in astrology, there's these things called decans, and it divides every sign into 3 mini parts. And Scorpio's decans, the first is from October 24th to November 3rd, recording it in that decan. The next is, and that decan is, again, the Scorpio-Scorpio connection. So the way decans work is the first one is the sign itself. The second one is the next sign of the same element, in this case, water in the chart. And the third decan is the final one. And also the decans will have their own symbol connected with it too. So the symbol of this Scorpio-Scorpio decan is the snake, the serpent. And this is connecting Scorpio, again, with that power of shedding skin, releasing the old, shaking off the old. It connects Scorpio deep with the earth. Scorpio is a really rooted sign, and it takes us into that inner earth realm, as again, the underworld was thought to be beneath the earth. The serpent is thought to be the creature of the underworld. and serpents were feared a lot. There's a lot of distortion around the serpent energy, whereas actually in more ancient cultures, the serpents were the wise mystics, and the serpent energy was connected to taking that primordial power into the higher consciousness. Hence, the Kundalini itself is symbolized by serpents, though the path of that Kundalini awakening is thought to be one of those more precarious paths that requires great initiation, because as that Kundalini energy moves up through the chakras, it brings to the surface anything that is psychologically repressed within each chakra. So the serpent is our primordial power, and Scorpio connects with that, and it connects with awakening that power. So the second decan of Scorpio, November 3rd to 12th, is the Scorpio-Pisces decan. The ruler of that decan is Jupiter. These Scorpio natives will be a lot more inclined to wisdom, to discovering healing wisdom, as Jupiter is the planet of wisdom. Could be also the Scorpio Neptune decan, as Neptune is that new ruler of Pisces. And again, that first decan leaning back as it's the Scorpio-Scorpio decan is ruled by Mars and Pluto. But anyway, the second decan connects with the figure of the wolf. And the wolf is this wise pack animal. It's can be, manifesting as this alpha wolf, the leader. So this decan of Scorpio is a lot more about leadership and power and the wild primordial energy that is so often expressed by Scorpio. And again, with that Jupiterian quality to it, it seeks wisdom. It might seek a greater sort of connection to the pack, to bring back the wisdom to the pack. The last decan of Scorpio, November 13th to the 22nd, is the Scorpio Cancer decan, ruled by the moon. I'm born in that decan. So the symbolism of this decan is the phoenix who, after hundreds of years, lights itself aflame and creates an egg to be reborn as a baby, an infant. And the phoenix, this ancient mystical creature, mythical symbol, is really just about that death and rebirth process that we go through. It's about how we have to light a flame our entire sense of self to be born anew. And it also connects to that energy of immortality, that essentially the soul does not die. It is only this shell that goes through the death and rebirth process. The soul is eternal. And that highlights the energy of Scorpio, that is this very spiritual seeker. So the shadow side of Scorpio is to be very fixated on outcomes and materials, though the light side of Scorpio knows that all of this is an illusion, and that the true power of intimacy, sexuality, and power itself is to connect us beyond to those higher, more subtle, rarefied realms. And there's a lot of Scorpios that can embody that, and there's also Scorpios that embody the shadow side of that. So I just picked a couple Scorpio people that we can look at as reflections of the light and dark. First of all is Bill Gates is a Scorpio, and this is an example of how the Scorpio craving for power can lead one to become a very powerful entrepreneur, and also, in a sense, get obsessed with their power, as we see Bill Gates making many decisions to help and support others according to what he thinks is the best interest, and leaving impacts that aren't necessarily the best. Also, Joe Biden is a Scorpio, so there's another person seeking that power, seeking that authority, that is that Scorpio-like quality. And again, another Scorpio, maybe people here don't know, Jeffree Star is this queer icon makeup artist, but if you look deeper into it, not necessarily that great of a person, a little bit corrupt. So these are some examples of how that dark side of Scorpio can manifest when it is given this infinite power that it might seek. But there's other examples that aren't that way, and my favorite of these is Bjork. Bjork is one of my favorite musical artists and a very talented person. She embodies the weirdness of Scorpio. Bjork was one of those first pop stars back in her time that had full creative rights over everything that she produced and made her own music, spending hours, investigating that process. She said she spent almost an entire year making her one album, Vespertine, because she was so detailed, fine-tuned into those microbeats. And this is the expression of Scorpio that cares more than anything else about its creative power and its self-expression, its own truth. As Björk again and again would make music that, really challenged the notion of what music was, and having that platform where everyone's going to listen to her anyway, she just decides to make something totally out of the box that a lot of people hate, but doing it because it is an expression of her own truth. And in many ways, I live that Scorpio wisdom myself, sharing a lot of things that feel very vulnerable or deep and dark as a means of reclaiming my power. And that's really the path of Scorpio, and this, the clear balance path of Scorpio, whereas the other is the opposite, is hiding, is connecting with, using secrecy to cover things up to gain that power. So here are two different paths that every sign is kind of destined to embody the light or the dark of the quality that they're about. Scorpio being truth or secrecy, Scorpios will either embody that great truth in a vulnerable way, or they will distort and create secrets in order to gain their power. One leads to the power of the world, and the path of the truth leads to the power of the spiritual realm. So that is the power of Scorpio. Now, in sidereal astrology, again, sidereal or Vedic astrology, or there's also Western sidereal astrology, this is based on the true position of the stars, whereas, again, tropical astrology is connected with the seasonal shifts, so it's connected with the sun. So with tropical astrology, we're seeing much more of the solar reflection, the kind of persona and the image, the light that somebody shines, but with sidereal astrology, we're seeing what is taking place on the physical plane itself, on the earth plane. It is geocentric, bringing things back to earth and how we see things from earth. So in sidereal astrology, Scorpio is from November 16th to December 15th. And sidereal astrology does not have these decans as much as it has what are called nakshatras, stars. And every sign is divided into 2.5 nakshatras. There's a handful of nakshatras that are divided among 2 signs. So Scorpio being one of them, the nakshatra that starts Scorpio off is called Vishaka. And Vishaka is actually what you see in the constellation of Libra as the scales. But actually, in ancient times, that part of Libra was actually, even though it was the sign of Libra, it was considered part of that constellation of Scorpio. If you look at the connection between Libra and Scorpio closely, you'll see that those things that we now call scales look like the pincers of the scorpion, whereas the rest of it forms into the body of the scorpion and the stinger of the scorpion. So Vishaka being then associated also with scales is about justice and balance, and Vishaka are some of the more entrepreneurial, business-like energies of the Scorpio sign. Then comes the next one, Anuradha, and Anuradha means following Radha, and I'm just studying this. I just want to include it as part of it, so I'm going to say very little. But in Anuradha, this is like the heart of the Scorpio, and it contains Antares. And Antares is that bright red star that you see. It's the brightest star in Scorpio. And this Antares is said to be the rival of Aries or Mars. So that is that connection to Mars inherent in there. And this has, that deep, passionate part of Scorpio. Now, the last one is called Giesta, and this is the stinger of the scorpion. The last part of it is the scorpion stinger. Thus, this is the part of sharp, penetrating words and truth. And this is a part that brings up a lot of intensity and passion, and that kind of quest for truthfulness. So that's how it translates into sidereal. The qualities, of course, of Scorpio are the same in both of the systems. So, and to kind of wrap up, let's talk about every planet in Scorpio. So, there's a chance you have a planet in Scorpio. Scorpio sun people are the kind of embodiments of Scorpio energy, what we see as Scorpio. So they are the passionate lovers. Scorpio suns can be, again, business people. They can be occultists. They can be healers. They can be detectives. They can be sex workers. They can be sacred intimates. They can be um, anything that is like that embodiment of that pure Scorpio energy. And the Scorpio sun people I know are very much in alignment with that Scorpio energy, often being very drawn into the taboo and the dark and celebrating it, and celebrating that energy of passion or of wealth or of sexuality. I think every Scorpio has one of those things that they're more interested than others. I can say I'm into all of them. I'm a true Scorpio. Um, so Scorpio um, Mercury is then somebody who is mentally very interested in diving deep. A Scorpio Mercury does not have any space for small talk. Mercury being the intellectual mind, they want to dive deep, they want to study, they want to investigate, they want to get to the point. They might be people who have very sharp tongues and say things so directly that it offends people, or they can also be the opposite of just kind of holding back and withdrawing until they really have that moment to go in. Scorpio moon is the position of Scorpio where it is in its fall. The moon's exalted in Taurus, so it's in fall in the opposite sign of Scorpio. And moon in Scorpio is extremely sensitive and is extremely vulnerable. Scorpio moon people can take things very personally, and because, again, this has to do with things that are hidden, they can have very hidden emotions. They have a very hard time to open up. And even Scorpio suns or other Scorpio people can have those qualities to them, though it's more pronounced with the moon in its fall, and especially as the moon connects with emotion. So Scorpio moons need to learn how to express their emotions and be vulnerable, and they need to learn to not take things that personally. Scorpio moons have the power to be the most intense and committed lovers. Same goes with Scorpio Venus. That is the detriment position of Venus, as again, Venus is domicile in its house in Taurus, the opposite sign. So Scorpio Venusian people are can be very sexual, have in a sense very divergent values, as Venus is about values. They want to go against the grain and they want to push against the grain often. They can be jealous lovers and they can have a lot of passion. Scorpio Mars is domicile position for Mars, so Mars is happy there. And Scorpio Mars is very driven, very passionate, very driven towards its goals, and has so much energy and enthusiasm to get stuff done. They are passionate lovers, they're intense, but they tend to transmute some of the negative qualities of Scorpio and Mars more than any other sign. They tend to be occultists and wild, free, divergent people. Scorpio Jupiter is someone whose wisdom is very much aligned in seeking in the shadow realm. They are shadow workers. They have spiritual pursuits that can take them into things that are hidden or taboo. They really want to understand the hidden workings of things and figure out reality through that lens. They will have good luck with love and sexuality and business. And same could be said about Scorpio Saturn, is that they become very good business people. They are very hardworking. They're very dedicated and passionate. They might be very driven towards money. Scorpio Uranus is, some astrologers say Uranus is exalted in Scorpio, and I can kind of see that as the energy of Uranus is about breaking free and liberation, and Scorpio has some of those qualities as well as Uranus being that coldest planet. There is this kind of movement towards the cold that you can connect Scorpio with. Um, so, and also, unusual. I mean, the unusual and taboo and strange are both connected with Scorpio and Aquarius. And Uranus is the planet that always brings shocking, unexpected energies. So I do really resonate with this idea that Scorpio is exalted in Uranus. So people with of Uranus Scorpio will be very eager to transform. It's less hard for them to adapt. It's easier for them to change into situations, and they might have this very intense passion to transform even. So good placement. And Scorpio Neptune might have, again, beliefs and inclinations towards the occult. They might have some, or really, I don't know when was Scorpio last in Neptune? I don't know if there's many people right now who have that position, as Neptune is such a slow mover. But I'm just using my imagination now to kind of conjure that image of Neptune Scorpio being this kind of fantastic shadow worker as well. And of course, Scorpio Pluto is a generation that was from about, I think, 1983 to 1997 or something. And again, Pluto is domicile in Scorpio, and Pluto spends the shortest amount of time in Scorpio. So it has this brief window where it offers this blessing. And what I can see about my generation, Pluto Scorpio people, is that more than other generations, they're very interested in the occult and spirituality and power. And I see, this is a millennial generation which is very interested in exposing and undoing inequality. So there is this kind of craving for the power, for the wealth that is the Scorpio energy, as well as that pursuit into the occult. And then Scorpio through the houses, people with Scorpio ascendant have a kind of intense persona and are seen by others as being very powerful and almost have this mystical charm to bring them about. Scorpio rules your second house, which would make Sagittarius your ascendant. Then Scorpio energy expresses in your chart as more of that desire for resources, for wealth. Scorpio in your third house, that would mean Capricorn ascendant, is perhaps being very passionate in your friendships, having a deep desire to connect with friendships and those who are closer to you. And then Scorpio in the fourth house, making your ascendant Aquarius, might have challenges with their family. Their family might have been dark or secretive, but hopefully their chosen family and the family they evolve into is one that gives them that need for intimacy, sexuality, or power. Scorpio in the fifth house, that would be ascendant ruler of of Pisces. They kind of make these Scorpio qualities, playing with the darkness, understanding the shadows, a hobby. Fifth house connects with hobbies. It's also the house of romance, so they might be very strong, powerful lovers. And then Scorpio in the sixth house connects with Aries ascendant. So Scorpio in the sixth house are the sixth house is kind of a challenging house. The Scorpio has a connection to the sixth house, so these are people who have to work very hard to embrace their darkness and to connect with the taboo. They might be people who are really dedicated to their careers in some way, or to service to others as a means of expressing intimacy. So Scorpio then in the seventh house. Wait, I did something wrong here. Did I? Yeah, I'm having a hard time calculating all this. Yeah, I went the wrong direction. So you might need to I'm not going to talk about the ascendants. You need to go look at your own chart and see where Scorpio is, because in my brain I've tried to do this in videos many times. So scratch that ascendant thing. I'm just going to talk about the houses themselves. Scorpio in the 7th house, again, passionate love makers, very interested in romance. It depends, of course, what planets are there, but 7th house being that of relationships, Scorpio being this passionate energy, elicits that passion. Scorpio in the 8th house, that is the Aries ascendant, then can make people very. People with Aries ascendant kind of have everything lining up in a way. So 8th house Scorpio people are very often interested in, if they have placements there, they embody that very business-like energy of Scorpio. And it really depends what planets are there, because the 8th house and Scorpio are connected. People with Aries ascendant will kind of have things lining up in a more logical way, you could say, the traditional way, that the houses will have their own meaning because the sign is linked up with them. Scorpio 9th house ruler can make a very strong cravings to search for knowledge, to understand truth. It brings out the qualities of Scorpio that are the truth seeker and hunter in that sense. 10th house Scorpio is all about the business sides of Scorpio. That's Capricorn's house. It's the work and career. So especially people have planets there in Scorpio, they are very much entrepreneurs and hard workers. Scorpio in the 11th house makes for people who kind of dedicate their personal power to a higher purpose. The Scorpio energy connects with kind of the service, the offering of their work in the world, and their connection to the collective. Scorpio in the 12th house, it can be people who express that more secretive side of Scorpio. They tend to hide things more. They're kind of spending more time in that unconscious realm, as again, the 12th house is the unconscious. And Scorpio highlights those qualities of the 12th house of, the connection to the dark, the underworld, the unseen. Especially if people have planets there, they will be kind of drawn into a lot of introspection and meditation and shadow work times. So that's everything about Scorpio and how it can manifest in your chart and what the sign holds for us. The advice for Scorpio season is to let go and to transform, to connect with these darker aspects of yourself and relinquish the taboos that you hold on yourself, to step into a more embodied and powerful version of your truth. It's about shedding skin, letting go, and stepping into higher expressions of your own truth, who you are. So it's a long video. Leave it there. Let me know if you have questions, and I'll make a new video next month for the sign of Sagittarius, going into all the same details. If you're interested in doing astrology readings with me, I offer them. My website is dantestarshine.com. I also do private channeling sessions and things of that nature, channeling course, blah, blah, blah. So tune in, my YouTube channel, Dante Starshine. I do reports for the full moon and sometimes the new moon, and different reports as they come up, and video transmissions about many subjects and the weekly channelings and all that fun stuff. I appreciate you for tuning in. Hope you have a brilliant, blessed day, and much love and blessings for now. A moment to see that stuff around here. Special place for this video today.